Hello, welcome to another episode, unexpected kind of episode of my journey to the Trinity, and it's unexpected in more way than one because um, I'm not talking about Islam or anything today. I'm talking about the about Doug Emhoff. He is the husband of Kamala Harris, and um, because I used to be a reporter, I kind of have a little bit of a bad feeling about the media right now because oops, let me put this here because there's allegations against him, and they're not unfounded allegations. They're allegations that he hit his then girlfriend when they were in France, and the girlfriend has documentation that they were there. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to get everything there. Oh, there you go. Okay, that's a little bit. Um, but the media is ignoring it. Not all the media, but like ABC, CBS, NBC. The ones that you know, the Washington Post, New York Times, the Los Angeles Times. They're ignoring it, and you know what? It's like. It is definitely a big deal if it's true. But this happened apparently like 12 years ago, and you just kind of wonder, if it was, hey baby, if it was Donald Trump, of course this would be front page news, especially on the Los Angeles Times. I mean, Los Angeles Times, they're very anti-Trump, and the New York Times, absolutely, it would be top news, and but they're just ignoring it, and so this kind of leaves you wondering why, why would they ignore a story like this, especially at a time like this when this guy's being, paraded in front of all the big time media. But Jen Psaki the other day did this huge interview with him where she was just gushing and you know gushing over him, just like the rest of the mainstream media, uh, over how wonderful he's redefined masculinity, made it into a more femininity, and so they're liking that, and so hoping to win over Midwestern white men and Mexican men and Arab men and black men, trying to win them over with this new feminine guy type of a thing. So anyway, but then all of a sudden these allegations come out. Okay, now this is by the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is generally conservative, uh, but they have also gotten quite a bit of they've gotten quite a bit of very substantial reporting. They've done substantial reporting, especially on Doug Emhoff. They're the ones that broke the story that he had an affair with his children's nanny and got her pregnant while he was married to his children's mother, and it was substantial enough that Doug Emhoff admitted it on CNN, of all places. He admitted it on CNN that he had had this affair with his nanny, his children's nanny, and she got pregnant. And there's some police involvement in that. Um, I'm not sure exactly what. I'm not sure exactly the police involvement, except for that they do have a police report of something happening at her house, which I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened there. But when you don't know stuff, it leaves the rumor mill ideas about what happened and was Doug Emhoff involved in anything that happened there. But there was a police report of the police going to her house and in Los Angeles. So anyway, the reporting has been substantial. It's been very well documented. It's not just, rumors. Okay. And so the Daily Mail comes up with this new story. Okay. And the story is that the way it goes, and I'm just telling you what the Daily Mail article is. Okay. It's all over the place now, but the first ones to report it was the Daily Mail. Apparently, what happened is that Doug Emhoff, after his, actually, it's not after his divorce, because it was while he was in the process of divorcing his ex-wife, and before he got involved with Kamala Harris. Okay, so it was during his divorce proceedings with his ex-wife, the mother of his children, before he got involved with Kamala Harris. Okay, that what happened is they went. There was, they had this like 3-month relationship in the U.S., and then they went to France together to this Cannes music. AIDS thing, to make money for AIDS and everything like that. And afterwards, they were standing in line waiting for a taxi. It was like 3 a.m. They were both drunk. And then she goes up to a guy to give him money. This is the valet guy. So that not valet, so the taxi driver, the guy who's in charge of the taxis, and to give him 100 euros so that he will let her cut in line. And then she put her hand on his shoulder. And Doug Emhoff apparently thought that she was flirting with this guy. So he slapped her real hard to where it says that she had to turn around. And then she turned around and slapped him real good, and twice. And then she went into the taxi. After she slapped him twice, because he slapped her first, she went into the taxi to go back to the apartment, to the hotel, and she didn't want him to go, but he forced himself into the taxi with her. And in the taxi, she called a friend of hers, a guy in America, and said, "Listen, my boyfriend just hit me, And she did that in front of Doug Emhoff because she, according to this reporting, that because she wanted Doug Emhoff to see that somebody knew about what happened. She was scared, terrified. He was in the back seat with her. Okay. And so then he never apologized. He made some kind of tennis comment like, "You got back at me, by slapping," when she slapped him twice. So that's the story right there, and it's very disturbing on many levels. First of all, the fact that he was that drunk. He has denied it, and it's so interesting. It's so interesting that he has denied it, but he didn't deny it to any major media. It's this tiny little. He denied it to a tiny little media outlet. Let me see here, you guys. I want to see the. Let me see. Do I need to have this right now? You know what? I think. Can you guys hear me? If I don't use this right now, just because I want to use. I only can have 2 USB things in my computer, and so I want to use the this. Because he denied it to this tiny little website. They said, "No, this never happened. He would never do something like that." And so, my only thing is, again, I used to be a reporter. I worked in journalism for about 5 years, not a humongous amount. I got a degree in journalism. And one thing they used to always say is in journalism school is that the media is the enemy of the government. The government is the enemy. You know, you have to be harsh with these guys. You can't be buddy buddy with the government. Well, the media is really being very buddy buddy with Doug Emhoff, and they're really covering for him. And it makes me think of when the media was covering for Hunter Biden. You know, when they were covering for Hunter Biden, and they wouldn't run the story about Hunter Biden's laptop, and so it just kind of feels like we're actually watching in real time. This is a real time situation that the media is complicit again. They're trying to cover for. Now, it's not all the media. Okay. Now, you know, let me just show you some of the media that actually has covered this story. Okay. Okay, let me show you this right here. Okay, just so you see that, let me just go ahead and put this in again here. Okay, actually one of the biggest, probably most prestigious publications that has covered this story is Newsweek. So Newsweek, which is, I guess it's the #2 magazine, news magazine in America. The #1 would be Time magazine. #2 would be Newsweek. So it's a very big, you know, that's not small potatoes, you know, if they have it. Here, let's just look real quickly what this says. Doug Emhoff assault and allegations. What we do know, what we don't know. Okay. Has been accused, okay, of slapping former girlfriend more than a decade ago, according to a dailymail.com report. Emhoff has denied the allegations. Okay, so, you know, the same way that, but you got all these details, okay, and let me just, okay, you know, but so it's not something that's secret. It's something that is out there. People know about it. OK magazine, that's also a pretty big magazine. Now, again, one of the biggest circulation publications that has talked about this is the New York Post. And it was on the front page of the New York Post. And the New York Post, you guys, is like the #5 biggest circulation. Let me see. If you look at in terms of circulation, the biggest publications, like the New York Post has got like a, you know, like 1.5 million daily subscription, compared to the, you know, the New York Times, which has like about, you know, 5 million. So, I mean, it's about half the size of the New York Times subscription. So it is huge, and they put it on the front page for a couple days. So, you know, the New York Times knows about this. They know about it quite a bit, but the New York Times is not willing to say anything about it. They just want to cover for Kamala. And, you know, of course, they're very nervous. They're very concerned about the election. They want Kamala to win. They've said it. They've already endorsed her. But it's really interesting that they are compromising their journalistic, you know, the government and the media is the enemy of the government. You know, not an enemy in the sense of violence or anything like that, but an enemy like you never believe what they tell you. You always dig deeper. You don't become a mouthpiece for the government like the New York Times is with Joe Biden. You know, and but that's what you know. And if this story was about Trump, this is the big thing too, is that if it was about Trump, it would have been on the front page of the New York Times for a week, and they're going to look at it from every possible angle. They're going to talk about the festival. They're going to talk about the taxi cabs that they use in France. They're going to talk about the distance between the the fair, that thing, that AIDS thing, and the hotel, and how much time they had to be together, that she had to be in the taxi stuck with this guy that she didn't want to be with. You're going to talk about what kind of phones they used to use back then. They would talk about how long she was on the phone. Talk about, the emotional condition of somebody stuck in a car with somebody that it's just hit you. The New York Times would have written every single possible angle of this story if it was about Trump. But it's about Doug Emhoff, and so they won't touch it. And it's been, 5 days in the news now. It's not like this has been a secret. And they won't cover it. And why is that? And so I know this isn't my usual topics, but the thing is, as a former journalist and reporter, I smell, to quote, I think it's, who was it? Not Thomas Jefferson, the other guy, John Adams or something. I smell a rat. Smells like a rat. And it smells like the Biden laptop story that the media covered for Joe Biden, and to this day, they're still covering for him. George Stephanopoulos and ABC and everything, they're all, oh, this has been debunked, and they won't cover it, And so anyway, so here you go, Doug Emhoff assault allegation. What we know, this is Newsweek magazine, okay? So very respectable. You got OK magazine. Now, I haven't really seen what they say about it, but breaking: Kamala Harris' husband accused of slapping ex-girlfriend in the face for flirting with another man during 2012 gala. Okay. And another reason why this is a big deal is because Kamala Harris has done a very big push about, domestic abuse and everything. And so now it turns out, now there's also this one, Washington Times. Okay, the Washington Times. Okay, Megyn Kelly. Now on the internet front, Megyn Kelly has been the one that really has really pushed, talked about this, and she has really teared into the media for kind of covering this up, not talking about it. And her thing is, hey, if this was Donald Trump, you guys would have been all over this. You would have been all over this if it was Donald Trump. But because it's a Democrat and someone that the media is kind of elevating right now and saying, he's the new face of masculinity and all this stuff, the media won't touch it. The mainstream media, okay? Here it says, the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, has presented himself as a supporter of women, except when he's slapping them in the face or banging the nanny. Sorry, according to Megyn Kelly. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so this was, she's been really on this, and she's really taken the media. And you know what, you guys? There's something, about this, if he did this in public, now just think about this. According to this story, and there's 3 people that have told the Daily Mail about this story. There's 3 people who talked with the woman who is unnamed. The 3 people are anonymous, and so is the woman, because they're afraid of repercussion. Because if they say something, they could be threatened, by, the base and the Democratic base, and how crazy they could get. And so if he did this out in public, this was in public, he did this in front of hundreds of people. That line was supposedly a mile long. That means there were hundreds, maybe thousands of people there. And he did this in front of everybody. What, and this is what, what somebody was asking the other day is like, well, what's he like in private? We know his first marriage ended in divorce, and the wife ex-wife, she says, "Oh, he's a great father, and we're friends, and da 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 da, you know, and I support Kamala Harris and abortion." No, she didn't say abortion, but if you support Kamala, you support abortion, uh, all that. But you know, I think we need to worry about Kamala Harris now. Honestly, I'm worried about her. If he's like this in outside, if he's like this in public, you know, what's he like in private? You know, and I know Jen Psaki really is sold on him, and but this is really, you know, it's kind of scary, man. So here it's in the Washington Times. Okay, the Washington Times. Harris's husband smacked then girlfriend. Okay, the Washington Times is not huge compared to the Washington Post. Okay, but they are a big. Um, uh, they are a very big um, newspaper. Okay, okay. I'm still trying to find. I'm still trying to find the Al Jazeera has a very nice report about him. I don't think they talked about this because Al Jazeera is a democratic institution also. Terrorism, Democratic Party, same thing. MSN, okay. Anyway, let's go back to here. Okay, these are some of the big outlets that have reported this. Okay, the Washington Times, CNN finally got in on the act, but the only way CNN got in, we could look at what CNN did because they always cover for Democrats also, and I know that, you know, they try to show that they don't, but they do. You know, they're always very much supporters of the Democrats, and so let's just look at what CNN said. It says Emhoff spokesperson denies to Semaphore. Okay, now they didn't deny it to the New York Times. They didn't deny it to the Washington Post. They didn't deny it to CNN, but they denied it to Semaphore. Does anybody here ever heard of Semaphore? It's this tiny little, tiny little publication. I've never heard of it. Never heard of it in my life. You know, but that's who they denied it to because they're trying to keep this thing under wraps. Okay, a spokesperson for the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, denied claims made in a tabloid report that he assaulted his former girlfriend in 2012. Okay, the Daily Mail on Wednesday reported Emhoff allegedly struck an ex-girlfriend while the two were leaving an event at the Cannes Film Festival in France, according to three unnamed sources, friends of the woman. Okay, CNN has not independently verified. Now, I think CNN is going to go and attempt to verify, you know, and, you know, let me just show you the original report. Let me show you hey, how are you, Bruce? God bless you, man. Let me show you the original report in the Daily Mail. Daily Mail. Sorry, I got this virus, okay? It says Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, forcefully slapped ex-girlfriend for flirting with another man in booze-fueled assault after date to star-studded gala. Okay, so here it tells, but the reason I wanted you to see this is to see, okay, first of all, they got a picture of Doug Emhoff with the girl, but they blurred her face out, but they do have his picture with her at a bar, drinking, apparently. Okay, and then they had other things too, and I just want to show the other things. I see if they have it. Okay, right here, they actually got the ticket, the airline ticket from Phoenix, Arizona. They traveled to Paris, and here they got the reservations. Okay, the date to April 12th, April 24th, 2012. Okay, and then here's a message. It says, we aren't staying at the Negresco because the rooms they had were uber expensive. However, I was able to book a room at the Concord. which is a couple of blocks down the same road. Google indicates 5-minute walk. Negresco is 37 Promenade d'Anglais, and Concord is, okay. I've attached our itinerary. Unfortunately, we have to leave a day earlier than you so that Doug can be back to LA for his daughter's birthday. So there you have Doug mentioned and where they stayed, smooches. So you do see all this is documented. Okay. They have actual documentation of this. They don't have the picture. Well, you know, they haven't. The girl is concerned, you know, about, you know, the backlash if this story gets, you know, major coverage. And so, hello, Mike Wolf. God bless you. Hi, Lucky. Hey. So anyway, you know, what's interesting is that, like I said, ABC, with all this documentation, if this was about Donald Trump, okay, this would have been front page news. It would have been 24 hours, nonstop, wall-to-wall coverage. But because it's about a Democrat, ABC, CBS, NBC, New York Times, Washington Post, and Los Angeles Times are ignoring it. The Los Angeles Times, too. I didn't see anything in the Los Angeles. If anybody saw anything in the Los Angeles Times, let me know. Sometimes the Los Angeles Times is fair, very rarely, but sometimes they're fair to Christians and to Republicans. Okay, but you know, I don't know. I didn't see nothing in the Los Angeles Times about it. And also, there's another left-wing publication called Politico, and I just want to show you what Politico did. Politico tries to posture themselves as fair, as objective. Okay, they're not, but they try to. Well, everybody knows they're a left-wing rag. Okay, let's just look at them. Now, these guys are the go-to people because it's called Politico. They're supposed to be fair. Okay. Let's see. Let's just see first of all if they have said anything more. They did say something the other day, and I wanted to show you, but they really covered it. They really hit it. Now, this is an interesting story right here. It says Trump is everywhere. Anxious Democrats wonder why Harris isn't. And I tell you what, I wonder if Harris is hiding because of this situation. She doesn't want to answer questions about this Doug Emhoff story. I wonder if she's hiding because she doesn't want to talk about this. Okay, so let's see if they do say anything. You know, this is kind of like one of those October surprises, and so they're trying to hide it, you know, downplay it as much as possible. But I did want to show you that they actually did have a tiny, tiny little thing about it, hidden away to where you really have to dig in order to see it. Okay, and you know, if it was about Trump, it would have been front page, nonstop. But okay, right here, look where they put it. Okay, look how they did it. Waltz goes on the offensive. Okay, shoot, you know what? They went and put this here. You can't see it. You can't see it, unfortunately, but you can see it here. Okay, let me see if I can make it bigger so you guys can see it. This tiny, tiny little thing. Okay, they made it really small so you can't see it. Okay, newsletter entry. Okay, the Daily Mail's Josh Boswell published a new allegation that second gentleman Doug Emhoff slapped his ex-girlfriend so hard she spun around. Okay, citing three of the woman's friends. Two of them said the woman told them about the incident. Okay, so this was 2 days ago. All right. Okay, then it has here Doug Emhoff denied the Daily Mail's reporting that he'd slapped his ex-girlfriend. Okay. Um, so, okay, so there you have it. That's what political, they're covering for her, and they're really nervous. They're trying to help. Michigan messes mount for Harris. Okay. Well, all right. Well, so anyway, this is not like I said, usually I do stuff about Islam and talk about Islam stuff, but I am also a reporter, or I was, I'm not now, but I still am in a way, because the stuff I do, I still use a lot of the techniques that I learned as a reporter to, to, uh, to talk about Islam, talk about, different things that I talk about. And this felt like I smell a rat. Why is the media covering for her like this? Because I think maybe because I was a reporter, I always want to think, okay, there is some semblance of objectivity in the news, that they won't sell their souls just, for clickbait or for something. But you know what? It's looking like it. Yes, they will sell their souls, and they have sold their souls. Um, and So anyway, this is just a little thing, just to kind of talk about this situation. I think it's sad, and it almost honestly, I think we need to pray for Kamala Harris, because seriously, if this guy's like this, his first wife left him or divorced him, and she's the one that initiated the divorce proceedings, and then he did something like this out in public. The fact that he did it out in public, you see, that kind of adds to it, because if he did it in public, what's he like in private? If he's like this out in front of people, hundreds and thousands of people were standing there, and he did this. And so, or allegedly did this. Got to put allegedly, even though it's all over the place there. So anyway, guys, just something to think about, just to increase your distrust. I'm here to increase your distrust of the Los Angeles Times. Don't trust them. Increase your distrust of the New York Times. Increase your distrust of ABC, CBS, NBC. Like now, CNN, you guys, as much as I despise them, they covered it. I mean, they did it a tiny little thing. And, one of the reasons, we could talk about what are some of the reasons. Okay, let's talk about this journalistically. Okay. What are some of the reasons why the media is ignoring this? One of the reasons could be because it's anonymous sources. Thank you, Boo Boo, my baby. Okay, anonymous sources. What does that mean? Anonymous sources means that you don't know who these people are. If they came out, gave their names, and said, da, 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 these names, I'm this, I'm the person that, if the girl comes out and says that this happened to her, the media will still bury it. Like they did Tara Reid. I don't know if you know the story of Tara Reid. She came out and said that Joe Biden molested her. Her name was Tara Reid. She came out and she used her name, her face. Megyn Kelly was one of the few people that interviewed her. And this communist website, YouTube channel. It was a communist YouTube channel. They interviewed her. CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, they all just said, and MSNBC, they did do something about Tara Reid in that, that show, the husband and wife, the daughter of the communist or the Soviet Brzezinski, Mika Brzezinski, whatever her name is, and the Joe, Mika and Joe, Morning Joe, they did interview Joe Biden, and Mika, asked Joe Biden, did you molest or rape or assault Tara Reid? And what did Joe Biden say? Yeah, of course not. Just like, what do you expect him to say? He was running for president. Okay, but the media ignored her. George Stephanopoulos, Katie Couric, you know, they all ignored her. But Megyn Kelly interviewed her. So even then, even if they come out and have a face and a name and everything, the media will bury it because they're lackeys. They're controlled. There's puppet strings controlling them. So anyway, I'm here to increase your distrust. I want you to distrust ABC, CBS, NBC, New York Times, LA Times, and Washington Post. Don't trust them. Trust them less. Okay, that's what I'm here to help you do. Because if this was about Trump, it would be front page news on the LA Times. If this was about Trump, it'd be front page news on the LA Times. But because it's about their friend Kamala, the LA Times is like, oh, you know what? It's an anonymous source. That's and you know what? That's a legitimate reason not to cover it because it's an anonymous source. But if it was about Trump, they would have. If it was about Trump, they would have gone with the anonymous source. How many stories in the New York Times are from anonymous sources? Okay, they need anonymous sources. So, they could play that game, but I think it's just plain old. They're puppets. They're being controlled by the Democratic Party, by the uppity ups at the DNC. Their mouthpieces were the DNC. Don't expect Stephen, what's his name? Stephen on CBS, Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Fallon, but if it was about Trump, they'd have jokes up day and night about them. But because it's about their friend, Doug Emhoff, they're going to just kind of sweep it under the rug. But anyway, guys, well, Trump is supposed to be speaking in Butler, Pennsylvania. So this is where he was shot. So he's supposed to be speaking there. So I don't know, maybe he already did. So anyway, be watching. Thanks for hanging out for a few minutes. And I know this was crazy. This isn't something I usually do, but it just really got under my skin that how the media is being so biased. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging out for a few seconds. God bless you and have a great day. And if you haven't done it, do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. We love you and he loves you. Have a great day. And pray for Kamala Harris, you guys. This is scary. This is scary for her. So.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth. This happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.